What is up, YouTube? Welcome to another episode of From the Booth to the Court. It's your boy Roy, and today we are back with another fire video. Now, in today's video, I'm actually going to be talking about 3 awards that are actually handed out towards the end of the NBA season. That is Most Valuable Player, Defensive Player of the Year, and Most Improved Player. So I'm actually going to mention some of my choices who I think will be nominated for those awards and who I think will win those awards. Now, in my last video, I already talked about 2 other awards that are given out, which is the Coach of the Year as well as the Rookie of the Year. So if you didn't check that video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop a link to that video in the description box below so you can also check who I think will be nominated and win those awards. But for this video, we're actually going to get right into it, and we're going to start off talking about the Most Improved Player. So my first nominee is I got D'Angelo Russell of the Brooklyn Nets. Now, this man has basically stepped his game up, basically making himself one of the top guards in the East for sure. I mean, the man has basically improved in so many areas statistically. I mean, he's dropping points, assisting, basically being aggressive, attacking the basket. Basically, his three-point shot is looking fuego. Like, this man is pulling threes with no regard, and basically it's just really looking confident as far as a point guard and just basically being strong for the Brooklyn Nets. So I got him as the first nominee for that award. Second, I got Pascal Siakam. Now, this man for the Toronto Raptors has basically jumped his game up from last year. Super crazy. I mean, the man has actually added a three-point shot to his arsenal. He's still posting up, doing stuff back to the basket, and basically with him having a whole bunch of shooters on his team and surrounding him, basically opened up the floor to make him more of a threat. I mean, the man is being aggressive and attacking the rim. If he's basically having mismatches with smaller defenders on him, he's basically taking them to the post, showing him his back to the basket game, and he's shooting the ball real good, and just basically being another threat that the Toronto Raptors can actually add and have for their arsenal. So I got him as the second nominee. Now, for the third, I got Derrick Rose for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, this man is no stranger to being somebody who's a killer in the NBA. I mean, when he was with the Bulls in 2011, basically was the MVP, basically running the league. Injuries basically kind of slowed him down, but he actually has been able to recover and bounce back in this season. He's not looking like the MVP Derrick Rose of old, but he's basically still showing the NBA that, hey, I'm still somebody that could be a threat. I'm still somebody that you need to look out for on the scouting reports. I still could be a good person that's driving to the rack, getting the and-ones, shooting a mid-range shot. And this 3, he's basically been hitting that as well. So I got him as a third nominee. And the fourth nominee I got is De'Aaron Fox from the Sacramento Kings. Now, this man basically is just looking confident in any position that you kind of have him placed in if you're a defender. Like, he's shooting a 3 with confidence. He's basically attacking the basket. His footwork is looking phenomenal. He's basically doing everything to kind of basically up his game to that next level and making a lot of teams who didn't draft him kind of regret that. I mean, this man has basically been playing out of his mind. Got the Sacramento Kings, basically they've been jockeying and trying to push to get that 8th seed and 7th seed pretty much all season. And that's a surprise for me because I didn't really expect the Kings to basically be that good or to be able to be competing for a playoff spot. But with his development, he basically got that team looking good. So those are the 4 people that I got as nominated for the Most Improved Player. Now, the person that I think is going to win that is Pascal Siakam from the Toronto Raptors. And the reason why is because those other 3 players that I mentioned, I mean, they kind of already had a lot of, worry about as far as people checking in on them from their previous seasons. And they're just some people that you kind of heard a lot about. Like, to me, I feel like Pascal Siakam is somebody who really just kind of snuck up as a threat this year. Like, last year, I mean, he was on the Toronto Raptors, but really nobody was kind of mentioning him or talking about him. But now he's somebody that everybody has to watch out for. I mean, he's somebody that you got to put on the scouting report. And he just makes that team such a deep and a bigger threat to people in the Eastern Conference because he's somebody that you can, like, give the ball to and just kind of give him room to operate, and he can make some stuff happen. I mean, this man that hit a few game winners this season, when they have Kawhi sitting out due to rest and stuff like that, and he just basically somebody who's making himself a threat. So I really want to say that he's a player that I think should win a potential Most Improved Player. I don't know if he will, but that's my choice. So that's who I have as far as nominees and who I think is going to win the Most Improved Player award. So next, I'm actually going to be talking about potential Defensive Player of the Year and the 4 nominees I think should be nominated for that. So first, I got Paul George of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, Paul George basically has been leading the league pretty much the whole year in steals per game. He's basically been stepping it up on the defensive end, showing everybody that, hey, I'm not just somebody that's an offensive threat. I'm actually in it. I'm playing defense. And he's basically been someone on that team who's basically been taking on that challenge of holding the opposing team's best offensive player, just kind of making it his duty to play passing lanes, basically contest pretty much all shots that's being taken around him, and just being aggressive on the defensive end. Like I mentioned, he's been leading the league for steals per game pretty much the whole season, and it's crazy that the person who's been in the number 2 spot is actually Russell Westbrook. So, you know, those perimeter D that him and Westbrook are holding on the Thunder is basically making them a strong threat in the West. And he's a good nominee for that actual category this year. So number 2, I got Rudy Gobert of the Utah Jazz. Now, everybody know he's the reigning defensive player of the award of the year winner from last year, and he's pretty much just basically carried that over to this season. The man is like a brick wall in the paint, pretty much trying to block every shot that comes to the paint when he's basically in the lineup, or just trying to basically contest every shot and throw shots off. And basically he's just been a good, you know, defensive presence in the post. You know, he's strong defensive rebounder and just basically doing this thing, making it tough for anybody to score down low. So I got him as the number 2 person I feel that will be nominated. Number 3, I got Kawhi Leonard. Now, Kawhi Leonard has already been a player who's already won Defensive Player of the Year twice. He's basically been known for his defensive prowess, and he basically hasn't stopped any of that moving on to the Toronto Raptors from the San Antonio Spurs. He's still basically holding the toughest matchup pretty much every night when he plays. He's still basically, you know, reaching in, being able to strip players of that ball, playing passing lanes, and just basically being someone who's basically being a pest on any player who's basically trying to dominate their team offensively. I mean, he knows what it takes to get the job done on the defensive end. One of the best players that we have defensively in this league, and it's been that way pretty much for like the last 6-7 seasons. So I definitely got him as a nominee for the Toronto Raptors. And then for my 4th nominee, I got Giannis Antetokounmpo from the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, this man has basically been dominating in all aspects of the game. I mean, he's basically been taking over offensively, and then on the defensive end with his long wingspan, like 7-foot plus wingspan, he's basically been taking on the toughest opposing threat, blocking shots, getting defensive rebounds, playing passing lanes, making steals, and just basically making it tough for anybody who's thinking they're going to be able to get a good game or get up on Milwaukee Bucks while he's on the court. He's basically been having a hand in all that. Now, the player who I think that's actually going to win the Defensive Player of the Year, my opinion, I think it's going to be Paul George. I mean, like I mentioned, he's been leading the league for steals per game pretty much the whole season. He's basically showing everybody that, hey, I'm somebody that needs to be considered when you guys are talking about two-way basketball. I mean, he's doing whatever he can on the defensive end to basically make sure that his team can probably get that win, or if not, secure that win. You know, basically make it a close game. He's basically putting pressure on anybody who's trying to bring the ball up the court or anybody who's trying to dominate on that perimeter. So that's my choice that I have for the Defensive Player of the Year. Now, for the last award, we got Most Valuable Player. So the 4 nominees that I have for that are basically 4 people who can definitely win this award. Some people, you know, I really don't even know who's going to win because it's so close between these 4. But for the first nominee, I got Paul George again from the Oklahoma City Thunder. You know, just because I mentioned him in the Defensive Player of the Year category, but I mean, what he's doing on both sides of the ball is pretty much, you know, it's magical. This man has really been playing MVP type ball every time he's basically in the lineup, every time he's on the court. You got the Oklahoma City Thunder actually balling. They've been jockeying between the number 3 and number 4 spot. But he's basically, you know, been doing what he can to make sure that team is basically going to go to the playoffs and basically possibly be a real big threat to everybody out west. I mean, you know, that team, they got 2 bona fide MVP star-like players on their team. And, you know, definitely somebody who I think is very deserving of the MVP nominee and possibly the award this year. Now, next is his actual teammate, Russell Westbrook. I mean, you already know this man pretty much is a triple-double on demand. He basically still carrying on with those type of stats this season. And with Paul George, you know, being missing as of late a lot in the games, it's been Russell Westbrook who's really been putting that team on his back, putting in that work, getting those triple doubles, and basically doing what he can to keep the Oklahoma City Thunder afloat and keep them actually pushing for a good seed in the West in the playoff contention. So I got Russell Westbrook as another nominee. Next, I got Giannis Antetokounmpo from the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, they have, I think, the best record in the league right now. They've been a lot, pretty much most of the season for the first seed out East. They really just been competing only with Toronto. But, I mean, they're playing out, Giannis is playing out of his mind right now. The man is really looking unstoppable. And I'm like, this man really developed a solid three-point shot. I don't see what nobody's going to be able to do with him, because as far as his height, his speed, his athleticism, his wingspan, his quickness, like really is nobody that really can do anything right now. The man can pretty much get 45, 50 points at will without shooting threes, which is ridiculous. Duncan, he's just looking like a real man child out there, looking real crazy. So I got him as a nominee. And then my last nominee is James Harden for the Houston Rockets. Now, James Harden, this man has been on a crazy scoring run. I mean, this man is dropping buckets like no other. 60-point games, 50-point games, 40-point games. And he's really been doing it with missing Chris Paul through a lot of the actual games this year due to injuries, suspensions, and whatever, and a whole bunch of other things. And this man really has put the Houston Rockets on his back, really doing what he can to actually keep that team holding on to that number 3 spot. And I mean, as far as the scoring stuff that we ain't seen nobody really scoring like that since, Wilt Chamberlain, and probably like Kobe the year that he dropped 81 and had all those 50-point games. So those are my actual 4 nominees for the MVP. And as far as my choice, I think it's going to be James Harden again. I mean, I'm sorry, I can't deny that this man really has pretty much been carrying the Houston Rockets on his back. Like, I know he got Chris Paul, but Chris Paul has been out, missing a lot of games due to injury. And even with Chris Paul gone, like, he's basically still been somebody who's been a super crazy threat. Like, this man is basically doing it all. I mean, he's shooting the 3-ball like crazy. He's getting to the foul line like he usually do, and is basically killing at the stripe. Like, it's really no weakness offensively in his game. The only weakness that you would probably be able to say about James Harden's game is on the defensive side, but he has been stepping it up on that end the past 2 seasons, so he's definitely somebody I think that will win the MVP award. And if it's not him, then I think it'll be Giannis. Those are my 2 front runners for that award right now. But hey, let me know who you think will actually win these awards in the comments. If you got other players that you think will be nominated besides the one that I listed, let me know in the comment section down below. Let me know who you think will win. And I appreciate you guys checking out the video. If you're new to the video and you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you can be uploaded every time or notified every time I upload a video. And don't forget to like, comment, share. I appreciate you guys watching the video and tuning in. This your boy Roy from the Booth to the Court, and we out.